Thank you. Madam Acting Deputy President, this motion seeks to express concern at the proposed expansion of the White Rock Quarry in Hornsell Gully and the impact that this will have on the health, the environment and the air quality for residents in the Adelaide Hills. And it notes the health risks of that. It calls on the South Australian Environment Protection Agency, the Minister rather, to address deficiencies within the EPA protections. And it calls for the Minister for Energy and Mining and the Minister for Environment and Water to listen to the concerns of the residents, to reject the revised mine operations plan for the expansion of the mine and to amend the EPA guidelines to ensure minimum separation distances from residential properties. Madam Acting Deputy President, on the 23rd of September 2020, Hanson Heidelberg, the cement group, submitted a revised mine operation plan for the expansion of the White Rock Quarry. And this has been met with significant community opposition, and there are lots of concerns that the residents hold. They relate to community health, they relate to the environment and the air quality of the surrounding areas. Well, the Greens stand with the community in opposing this expansion, and we're calling on the government to reject this mine operation plan and instead back the community campaign for minimum distance requirements for private mines. We know, Mr President, that the impact on the health and well-being of the community will be profound. Private mines should not be devouring our public landscape in this way. We should not see private mines in the Adelaide Hills pushing up against residential properties in this way, and we are calling for the Minister for Mining and Energy and the Minister for the Environment and Water to listen to the community's concerns and to take action, Mr President. It's not sufficient to simply go along to community meetings and to nod sympathetically. People need the government to step up here and to back their interests against the interests of private corporations like the Hanson Group. Now, the Attorney-General spoke at the public meeting that I attended a few weeks ago, and she spoke about distance requirements already being in existence within the EPA. Well, Mr President, the EPA evaluation distance guidelines in South Australia offer a very subjective individual assessment recommendation in terms of separation distances, and they do not mention the issue of respirable silica dust or blasting activities in this context. If we look at what other jurisdictions are doing, they have a better system, and the Northern Territory EPA separation distance guidelines recommend a buffer of 600 metres for qualifying activities with respirable crystalline silica present and 500 metres from blasting activities. And the EPA Victoria has a recommended separation distances for industrial residential air emissions guideline, which has a delineation accounting for the presence of silica dust and blasting activities. There is no mention of the silica dust in the SA EPA guidelines, and the proposed flattening of Mount Skye has many locals really concerned about what is going to happen to them, what is going to happen to their community health, and they're concerned about the spread of this silica dust and the potential risk of silicosis. And who can blame them, Mr President, when one considers the appalling health impacts, the deleterious health impacts that can flow from exposure to this dust. There are other concerns for the community as well, though. Those concerns relate to air quality, the noise, plants, the impact on cultural heritage, the visual amenity and the rehabilitation. And in light of these concerns, I understand the government has informed the Hanson Australia Group that more information is required. And the Department of Energy and Mining have indicated to the media that they'll be requesting more information from the corporation. Well, we know, Mr President, what happens when private corporations are allowed to ride roughshod over our environment, when they are allowed to ride roughshod over our environment and community concerns. And we saw the disgusting destruction by Rio Tinto of a cultural site all for their own corporate greed. And it's really important that a cultural heritage assessment is being conducted in relation to White Rock Quarry so that we can ensure that no culturally significant land is going to be impacted here. I think, Mr. President, there is a real issue with these private mines. They're antiquated. They're an old-fashioned scheme. They have different legal protections to other mines in South Australia. And I think most residents would be alarmed by the idea that you could have a private mine pushing up into their landscape, devouring their landscape, destroying their amenity, and that we could see these mines in metropolitan South Australia. It is high time that this parliament took a strong stance against vested interests, stood up to these large corporations that are devouring our landscape and said enough is enough, back off, move away from private residences and put the community health and wellbeing first and put our environment first at this time of climate crisis. And I hope that all parties will come on board and support this motion.